we're going to record, and then I'll go live once you guys find a good angle.
You know, this is unfortunate. This is unfortunate. Hey, don't get the. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's all these books and pens. My friend is
Hey, are you back?
sorry, our Wi-Fi dropped.
All righty. You guys good? You ready to try this?
Yeah.
All right, we hope so. Really, like, there's nothing to be nervous. It's just us. It's just us talking. Don't worry about it. Let me click. I have to click a couple stupid buttons, and then let me make sure we go live on Facebook. Hope I'm gonna go on the Queen City page.
I feel like we don't even look like nervous. We just look nervous because like every now and again the computer just goes, the Wi-Fi is unstable.
And we're like,
it's like
Oh no, not unstable Wi-Fi.
man, I didn't even realize this probably happens all the time with global teams. The connection's probably so crazy.
We actually don't have too many problems. Every once in a while there's one, but for the most part, I think sometimes in like countries like Philippines and India, they'll be on their phones, and so they don't have always. But otherwise, for the most part, it's been pretty good, especially if anyone's in a city, right? So
yeah. So just locally, you just have
yeah. But you're also in a college town where like probably everyone is sucking up the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Also, my friend who's staying with me has a lot of laptops, so
she's got like 3 laptops.
She's working remote and she does like government contracting stuff.
All right, I'm gonna hit this button and then we will be alive. Let's see what it says over here.
Ding is now screaming on Facebook Live.
All right, it does look like we're live. Hello out there, people watching. It is me, Carla Dingle, yet again live on Queen City Comedy page. I'm here for our global gab. I'm very excited today. We have two guests that have shoved themselves into one camera screen, and you're wearing like the same shirts, like colors. So this looks like you have like one arm on each side. Anyway, I will let them introduce themselves to you. But today, the global gab, we're talking to our newest employees at the Queen City Comedy. I'm gonna change your name because it just says Amita's name, and I feel like we'll just add Chelsea's name. So let's start with Chelsea. Introduce yourself. Tell the world about you.
Oh, I'm Chelsea Matkins. A couple things about me is I live with Amitha, and we're in Richmond, Virginia. That's basically it.
Awesome, great. And Amita, how about you?
My name's Amitha. I live with Chelsea, and we are both in Richmond, Virginia. I just graduated from VCU, and Chelsea's in her last semester.
Senior year.
Awesome. So that is Virginia Commonwealth University, right?
Dude.
Awesome. And both of you came to us because we met you at an improv festival a couple years ago. Do you want to tell the world? The whole world is watching. No, the whole world is not watching. Tell the world a little bit about like VCU improv.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we came to the North Carolina Comedy Festival because of our coach Elizabeth Byland, who's also a member of the whole squad at Queen City. We went down there with Running Amok, which was the first official improv team at VCU that Evie ran. And we were both on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to go to Queen City, volunteer there too. We got to hand out the directories. That was very cool.
Yes. Did you get to watch any cool shows or any teams that stuck out for you?
100%. I met my childhood like star, like John Reep. I grew up listening to John Reep with my dad on Blue Collar Radio. So that was pretty surreal. That was pretty
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Like he hung out at the festival like the whole time. He was like partying with us like every day. He's just around the corner here in Guest. No, I don't think he's in. Yeah, I think he is in Gastonia. I'm trying to remember. Any John Reap fans, just let us know in the chat where he is. So, cool. And tell me a little bit. Let's start with how did you get into improv? We'll start with Chelsea first. Tell us how you got into improv. Tell us all about that.
Sorry, you froze. What did you say?
Oh, tell us how you got into improv. We'll start with Chelsea. So what's like your improv origin story?
I didn't really get to do like a lot of improv in like my younger high school years and anything like that. But when I got to VCU, there was a like a student-led improv team ran by Patrick Allen. I got on that at like the end of my freshman year, so I did like maybe 2 rehearsals, and that's like where I met Amitha and everybody. Yeah, then basically I didn't really get to do any improv until EB got here and started like the improv curriculum and everything. Got into that, met a bunch of cool people, and I don't know, we haven't stopped doing it since.
Awesome, great. Amitha, how about you? What got you into improv?
Well, I was at Virginia Tech my freshman year, and there was also a student-led team there. I remember I was like very excited. I was a freshman. I went to like the extracurricular fair that they sometimes have in colleges where like everyone has tents and stuff. And one of the improv team was advertising auditions. It was called Deep Fried Improv, and it was a student-led team led by this woman Anna Ross, who now it plays on a DC improv team, I think, or she did, and now she moved. But yeah, I joined the team, and it was like my first foray into improv. I'd only seen like short form, like I only really knew Whose Line Is It Anyway, like most people. I had like, I didn't know about ASCAT or like anything. I had like no knowledge of long form improv. But then Anna was like really dedicated to like educating the team, and so like there was me and like 2 other freshmen, like 2 to 3 other freshman girls, and also it was a pretty equal divide of like men and women on the team, which is like you don't see happen a lot. Team captain, and I remember she would give us like readings about like the Herald, and like she would do all this stuff, and it was like really her dedication that I think like pulled me into improv. I was just like, oh, long form improv is like so awesome. I was like, this is so cool. And then I like watched ASCAT and etc. And then, and this is like a twist, my mom passed away, and then I like kind of like fell off of my studies, but like I remember like improv was like, it was just like super fun. I remember I was like, okay, like I'll do my like shitty classes in the day, and I would just like fall asleep and wake up, and then I was like, oh, but improv will be like super fun. And then when I got to VCU, I got on the student team, and it was just like super, yeah, improv was like, for a while, like, yeah, it was just like the thing. I was like, wow, I'm like very inarticulate right now, but it was
okay.
Could look forward to amidst like a lot of pain.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's a lot of people. I mean, especially, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. In the pandemic, right? If, without improv, I think a lot of people would feel even more isolated and more displaced. And I think the community around improv is really supportive, and it's sort of like a family away from home, and so they can lift you up when life is tough. I've at least experienced that, and it sounds like you too, Amita, as well. So.
But I like never done group sports, and I feel like improv is kind of a group sport, and like the camaraderie is very group sport esque.
Yeah.
And so I feel like people who are in like team sports probably have felt similarly. But me being incredibly unathletic, I was like, oh my god, I'm on a team.
Yeah. Yeah. Improv is like a team sport for the unathletic and the unfit. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, I can be on the varsity team of something, right? Well, good. Well, let me ask you this. Tell me a little bit about what kind of improv player are you? If somebody had to like quantify you in a couple words, what kind of improv player are you?
Um, me, this is really funny. I actually have a huge poster in my room, which has like different types of improvisers and everything
Oh,
on it. It's really cute. Wish I was there right now.
you'll have to take a picture of it and then we'll upload it in the comments so people can see it.
Perfect, perfect. I don't know. I'm really physical, like really caricature-y one, like
Yeah.
the weird one. I feel like I go in with like the make yourself as ugly as you can, do the weirdest voice you can think of, that kind of thing. That's it.
Definitely a student of Elizabeth Byland. Great. Amitha, how about you?
Yeah, she does awesome characters. I was always like, I feel like I'm more of like a, what would you say, like a talker?
She's so quippy, dude.
I'm a quippy. I'm a quippy improviser. I come in with like, alternatively, sometimes, less so now. At the beginning, I was like a very like, like this plot's gonna be good. I was like, let's plan the plot. But I feel like more now I'm just like back and forth, like
drop the mic, man.
Quick back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's easy to get caught in those things, right? Like, well, what's going to happen next? And what do we do next? Even though it's improv. Ironically, I'm listening to you all talk, and I play just like you, Amitha, and I play with Evie a lot, and she plays just like Chelsea. So it's funny that you all connected as well. I can't count how many times Evie's fingers have been in like my nose and my ears and my mouth, whereas I'm not that person at all. But I enjoy playing with that person. So so you mentioned, Amitha, that you used to play this way. So if you could talk to your younger improv self and give them some advice, what would you tell them?
I would say, first of all, you're not horrible.
It's always a good message.
I would say that you can do characters and like incorporate physicality, and things are usually more fun when you like challenge yourself in that way. I would say you don't have to make everything about sex. And you also don't have to lead with a lot of exposition, because not only is it confusing, it really sounds like a lot of exposition when you talk as fast as you do.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I teach some youngsters, and every once in a while they'll walk into a scene and be like, "Hello, Jill. I am Brian, your stepbrother, and I'm sorry you don't like me." And I'm like, "What just happened?" Right? Like, so, I mean, it sounds silly, but that's how I learned improv. Like, give us much information. And I was like you, overdoing it. So I'm trying to break that younger years for people. Chelsea, how about you? What would you say to your younger self?
Gosh. But yeah, I was thinking about it while she was explaining, and I feel like I used to, like, when I first started doing it, I would like cop out and always come in as like the weird plumber guy. like I don't know why that was my choice, but like if I couldn't do anything else, I was just like, this bit works. So I guess like it's okay to get out of your comfort zone, and play the straight character. I never really did that early on, and I think there's a lot of power in simplicity. So
yeah,
could have worked on that more, but here we are. So
I feel like that's a good quote. There's a lot of power in simplicity. I like that.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that. Cool. So tell me a little bit about what kind of forms you like to do and what kind of improv you like to create and what your teams work towards.
Um, Well, we obviously like we started off with like the La Ronde because it was like the easiest way to like learn how to do a long form improv set. But then when we got on Toxic Shock, which is uh the non-male improv team at BCU that we started with just like 5 girls, we tried to learn how to do a pretty flower. I don't know if you guys know what a pretty flower is, but
Yeah, a little.
all right, I can't explain it because I never I never could get it.
We ended up, our form ended up being called the ugly flower because we couldn't get the pretty flower, but we got like some bastardization,
exactly,
or bastardized version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good though, right? Like take a form and kind of try to learn it and then make it your own. I think is one of the things that I've really learned and really enjoyed at improv. And I love that you called it the ugly flower, especially on like an all-female non-binary team. To call it the ugly flower just to me is even funnier. So the little irony there. So what drew you to like those kind of styles?
Well, I also really like the Herald, but we just haven't really played with it much. I feel like on our teams because we focus on like 2-person scenes, and the Herald I feel like is a little more like intricate. And like I feel like our character work is more like what we drive towards.
Yeah, and I think we also like we have a very scatterbrain mindset.
Yeah.
So it's just like montage based things work really really well. Just with the constant like thread like of a main idea.
Yeah.
Like focus on that and then throw up all over it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like put in a lot of. We like doing a lot of games, and when we once did like a 3-person team, and we would just perform drunk at our school's variety show and stuff like that.
We're all 21.
We're all 21. And
Queen City Comedy does not promote underage drinking.
And guess what? They're doing.
No, seriously, I was such a drunk in college. It's fine. Keep going.
But yeah, we would do like a lot of musical improv and like versions of that, like fast-paced.
We tried doing musical improv for a hot minute there, and it was so funny because we had this one girl, Lydia
So
Hines, on the team with us, and she was like musical theater kid, and she like every time we'd start, she'd go in with the melody and like the background beat and stuff, and then I was just always a hype man because I am not musically inclined at all.
I would do like a verse maybe, like I would like rhyme kind of,
and I'd be like,
yeah. Marisa would do the beats.
Yeah.
But we found out very quickly. Lydia was sick one day, and then we
tried doing it without her, and we were like, I don't think musical improv's our thing anymore.
Well, Amitha, you just got to sit in on the Laura Rick Hall musical improv workshop. So maybe re-inspired some musical improv for you, or terrified you more? Which one?
Dad, I was like, this is so fun. I was like, we just needed a workshop as well. We could have done it.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, right? We learn, the thing about improv is it sort of has its own like cultural norms, I guess, and it's all passed down through classes and workshops, now podcasts and YouTube videos. Who are some people or some, I don't know, schools or whatever that you've like watched or learned from, instructors that have really like helped you sort of create who you are as an improviser?
Dude, for me, honestly, it's just like the people around me. I was never a kid that was like really big in on like watching a bunch of videos and stuff like that. Like it wasn't until like we started with EB that I really even like knew how like the extent of how many like professional improvisers and like teams there were out there. But then like learning like Ask Cat and like Tim and Dave, right? TJ and Dave. Wow, what a fumble right there. But yeah, but like watching that 2Prov and everything. But
so cool.
Yeah, it was really just like the people around me, and then seeing stuff in like the Richmond community, like a whole underground scene that I didn't even kind of know existed. Like I had seen sketch comedy and stuff, but then you realize there's all of these improv teams, all these people that also do it that you can watch do it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a big lesson for me too, especially like going into the pandemic and going online, just like the amount of improv throughout the world. I mean, we have people that come to our workshops and classes from like Sri Lanka and the Philippines and India and of course the UK and Malta. I didn't even know like Malta did improv. People did improv in Malta. Hello, Simone. But yeah, it's just amazing to find out like that just improv is everywhere. It's not like in New York, Chicago, and LA. I mean, obviously for a long time, those were the hubs, those were the places to go. That's sort of disintegrating now. Yeah, you can find kind of improv anywhere. So, Amitha, how about you? Who are some people that have inspired you in the improv world or teams or?
I feel like Chelsea, like definitely the players I was with. I mean, I remember like the first two like big teams I was on, like Deep Fried and then Running Amok. I was just like constantly just so like amazed by the people I was playing with. I was like, oh, they're so good. I was like, how lucky I am that I can look at everyone on this team and be like, oh, I admire. Like, I wish I could do that, because that's like very lucky. Um, but when I started to get into improv, I like got into like the classics, ASCAT. I started listening to what's the name? People for improv. But and then I got to go to UCB when I visited my friend in LA, and so I saw like one of their matches, or one of their shows, and then I got to see Eliza Skinner do the Skinner box, because I was like, oh, if we're going to go UCB, like let's see what show would be cool. And then one of my other favorite comedians, 'cause I've been into stand up for a while, was Aparna Nancherla, and she was like, the Skinner box is amazing. And then I went the week I visited LA, and Wayne Brady was guest starring with Eliza Skinner, and they did an hour and a half of musical improv, and I
Oh my
sat
gosh.
on row. It was crazy.
Wow. That's like history. You just saw like some crazy history, man.
It was so insane. Like, yeah, musical improv to me is just like so crazy. But then like TJ and Dave, and I just like this is like really late, but I just started watching Middleditch and Schwartz, which is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I love about Middleditch and Schwartz, which is on Netflix, I feel like I'm like advertising things, is that they know the rules and they just break all the rules, and then they just sort of like mess with each other. So you can tell that they are having such a great time, that it just makes the improv so much more enjoyable to watch. But yeah, they don't follow any of the rules of improv, which I think is fun too.
Obviously Evie. I like forgot to mention that, but it's just like so intuitive because she coached Running Amok. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
That's all right. We don't need to talk about her, but she is teaching a workshop if anyone wants to come in a couple weeks. Uh, yeah, it's really cool when you get to like sit in a space and see some of these people that like you respect a lot, like John Reeb, Wayne Brady. Yeah, I mean, like Wayne Brady, he's like to me like this level of improv that I could never get to. So
crazy how talented that man is.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and he has like everything. He's like literally everything.
I mean, he was on Broadway, right? He played Lola in Kinky Boots, right? So he's like jumping into Broadway roles. He's winning the Masked Singer. I mean, the man is like super talented. Uh, yeah, he won. Yeah,
Spoiled it.
spoiled it. It was like 6 months ago. Oops, spoiler alert. Now there's some show called The Masked Dancer. What? It's weird. That's all I can say. So you guys have been doing improv online. What's that been like? How has that changed for you? How is it working with your teams? What are your thoughts about online improv?
Dude, online improv, I mean, like, it is not in-person improv. It is, it's definitely not the same thing. Um, it's like, thank God they figured out a way to do it though. And it like works pretty well because
Yeah.
like it's such a lifeline for so many people, I think, like the joy from you derive from doing improv. So it was definitely hard in the beginning. It was like, wow, this is a learning curve.
Yeah.
Also, it's just like technology and stuff. It's just like harsh. But then yeah, once you like figure out how to manipulate the camera and stuff, and you're playing with angles and you got all these props now, which like you don't have when you're, that's like what to me is like so funny is
Oh my
like
gosh, me too.
I got like doorways, I got like windows, I can like run out in the hallway. Like my neighbors probably think I'm being like abused or something. Like about again.
Yeah, no, I love the idea of props and stuff like that. Recently in my shows, I've just decided to drink something, so I bring like a different, the different like cup, like a martini glass and a wine glass and a shot glass, and I just drink through my shows, which gives me something to do with my hands, which is always a struggle for me. Although then I have to really pee by the end of the show because I've been drinking for like an hour, and not just water, just water.
And you can turn off your camera, you put on mute, and you can pee while they're still going.
Yeah, it is nice, right? You don't have to. It's great. I think online improv is going to become like its own form. So we have long form and we have short form, and I think online improv will continue. What are your thoughts about that? What do you think once the pandemic is over that you'll still kind of gravitate towards online improv? I mean, I know in person is always our passion, being on stage in front of an audience, but what are your thoughts?
I think like just like having the ability to improvise with people that aren't near you is
Yeah.
what's gonna like stick, because I don't know how many people were like doing that before, but like what you guys are doing with like global improv and everything like that, um, like the we had a virtual college festival earlier this semester and everything, and we were improvising with like students from like NYU and like all over the United States, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we, number one, saved so much money.
Yeah.
Number two, like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, I love a good road trip, but also, man, I don't have 500 to burn right now.
Yeah,
But
road
like,
trips are expensive.
exactly, but that for sure.
Yeah. No, I feel like the accessibility of it is like, I feel like that won't be forgotten. Like people will remember that, like, oh, but these workshops and all of these things are like accessible and affordable, and like they don't need to be these like hundreds of dollar ventures and stuff like that. And I think like what Chelsea said, like the global teams are like definitely like trailblazing the path for like a new kind of improv. But I'm like, I will be psyched. I will be really psyched for in person. I just feel like the connection you feel, I mean, you definitely feel it over Zoom. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's nothing like in person improv.
Yeah, when people can see
Yeah.
my legs again, boy, just you wait.
It's really funny. I was talking with somebody recently from India, actually, and he was like, I went to my first in-person class like last weekend. He's like, I didn't know what to do. He's like, I didn't know how to be. He's like, I forgot I had like a lower part of my body. He's like, I felt like I was like starting improv like all over again, because I was like trying to be like, you have to move, you have to do things, you have to be physical. So it's interesting, like as people, some countries are doing way better than the US as far as like making the world safer. So people are starting to do some in-person improv, and it's interesting. It's like relearning, right? So I think it'll be like, I've been calling the pandemic the great equalizer of improv, because I think there were like all these schools and all this prestige that was up here, and that sort of equalized because we're seeing all these great places all over the world that do great improv with great instructors, and we're seeing like people learning how to do improv together online. And then I think when we go back in person, it'll be like, how do I do this? I mean, it's like riding a bike, but you can't just get out on a bike and like ride like for 5 miles. Like it takes a minute to get your stamina up and stuff like that. And I think it'll be the same way with improv in person. Oh, that's crazy. It's been almost a year since I've done my last in-person show.
That's, I don't even know, man. I don't even know how long it's been. It's
Like
like
so long.
Yeah.
forever ago.
It does, and it doesn't feel like it's gonna be anytime soon that we kind of get back on there. But I know that when we do, it'll be super fun. So
I think like just the fact that you like have a team of like people from Australia and India, I'm like that's the kind of improv that I feel like it like online improv makes it worth it, because
Yeah.
it's like you would never have the chance to do this kind of in-person improv. Like it's literally inaccessible.
yeah, and we learn so much, right? So just having conversations on like, here in the US we tend to be like, this is how things are done, right? Well, that's great. It's not how they're done everywhere else in the world. So if I'm using the name Karen in a scene, that means something to people in the US. That means nothing to somebody in Poland, nothing to somebody in Sri Lanka. It's just an Americanized name, right? So I had a conversation recently with someone like, teach me some of the names from your cultures that would be like the equivalent of these things. And I've been writing them down, because it's such a learning piece that like it shouldn't be the names that I just know, because the American names are not throughout the world, right? So it's kind of fun to learn those things.
Are there any cool forms that like other countries use that you're like, oh, we should like pick that up? Like, or like you've seen other players from other countries use?
There's a lot of theaters out there that are kind of creating their own forms, and I think in the beginning of improv there was a lot of like, you do the Herald, you do the Armando, you do the montage, you do the living room and the pretty flower. And now what it feels like with online improv is that because that we're in this little box, there's a little bit more, how can we make it more interesting? How can we create a new form? How can we like develop something ourselves? So there's a theater out of Austin, Texas, called the Hideout Theater, that's doing a lot of really creative stuff. They really focus on narrative improv, and so they're just doing a lot of wonderful stuff there. But so many theaters all over. I think people are sort of adapting. I'm on an improv team where our improv form is we're in a Zoom room. That's our improv form. Like we are in a Zoom room, and then like we go to breakout rooms and we do like 2-person scenes, and like we mess around with all the tropes of being on, like we forget to mute ourselves, or someone, you can hear someone peeing in the background, dogs barking, whatever. So it's like, as improvisers, we're resilient. We're constantly creating and just taking things and adapting them. So I'm working with a team right now. We're working on the Slacker, which has really worked out well on Zoom, more so than I thought it would be, because it's just following like the most interesting character. So um, it's the team Ridgely from the Global Improv Project. So, and they're going to debut the form at the end of the month. So, fingers crossed, we're ready. We will be ready. But yeah, so it's we're kind of playing with it a little differently. Editing differently is what we're doing. So instead of like waiting for somebody off camera to edit you, some of the edits are what I like to call a self edit. So if Chelsea and I were doing a scene and she's like, "You're the worst person ever. I hate you," I would just turn my camera off, leave her on screen as she's yelling at me, and she has to continue to monologue until somebody comes in. And so it's been kind of like flipping the switch in the brain, right? Because you're always waiting for someone else to save you from the scene, and it's not necessarily saving. It's like really focusing on serving the scene, right? So if I'm in an argument with somebody and I don't want to talk to you anymore and I just disappear, like that's really going to affect the person left on camera, right? So just sort of like, I think thinking about things differently. That's what online improv has definitely done for me. And I think the groups that are doing that are making a big difference, like I think in the world. Have you guys watched a lot of online improv or anything that stands out to you all?
I mean,
Like,
yeah.
no, we gotta study. We're just studying all the time.
Cool.
Us.
We're such good students.
Oh my gosh, so good.
But
I'm actually writing an essay under this computer right now.
we have like a person-based version of Shiny Object as like a form.
Ooh, very cool.
That's a great way to explain that.
That's how I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we watched the college show. That was really cool, seeing all the different schools.
What are some schools that stood out for you? Let's give them a shout out.
Oh, okay.
None of them. We were the best. What are you talking about?
Not that. It's
There
like
were so many
there were
names.
so many names.
It's okay. If you don't remember, don't break your brain.
So I can only remember NYU, but that was not the school that I was like. No offense to NYU, I was
NYU's
not
great,
the one that
but
stood out like
there was
that.
this North Carolina one that we really liked. Oh, God dang it, I really don't remember
Yeah.
the names. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
They were awesome though.
If you remember, you can plop it in the chat. So, Chelsea, you do a bunch of sketch comedy. Amitha, do you do sketch as well?
She does it all with me.
That's why it's our bios are going to be very funny, because when you release our little bios, because me and Chelsea have all the same extracurriculars. We were like drafted onto the same sketch team, like the local sketch group, Blue Collared Greens, and then Chelsea recruited me for her sketch team that she had with.
Yeah, it's a problem we're attached to the hip, so.
Which was gag reflex.
At the shoulders, literally right now. So tell me a little bit about sketch and how it's different. I mean, we know the logistics of how it's different for improv, but like, what part of you does it feed? What do you love about sketch improv?
The thing about like sketch comedy like that, because it's like my favorite thing to do. Like I love improv, obviously, but like sketch comedy, it's just like I've always kind of done it. Like I think when you grow up as like a kid, like in the theater world, you're like writing your own stuff, you're writing little shows and you're performing them for your parents. But like with improv, you do like that one really good scene and you're like, oh, somebody might never see this. Yeah. But you can now take this like idea you have, fully flesh it out and perform it, like give it props, give it costumes, give it a whole setting, like the whole 9 yards. And I think that's what's so appealing about sketch comedy. It's just like living out one certain idea to its fullest potential.
And you perform on 2 groups, you guys do, right?
Yeah, we're on the Blue Collared Greens, which has kind of taken like a halt since the pandemic. Like we've not really talked much about anything for that group, but it
was based on a local theater though.
Which was we were working with a theater lab down on Broad Street in Richmond, which was super cool. We were getting to perform monthly with them, and we would have like musical guests and everything. So it was like, it kind of felt like Richmond's SNL, like as how I like to explain it in the cringiest way possible. But with not Toxic Shock, with Gag Reflex. Gag Reflex was actually a sketch comedy group that I started with two other girls, Anna Leonard and Abby Kinchlow, my freshman year of college, and we would perform at this thing called No Shame, which was VCU's variety show with like singers and everything. And we perform bi-weekly, every Friday night, just like one skit until Amitha, my sophomore year, like halfway through the sophomore year, I was like, guys, we gotta put Amitha on this team. This girl goes in, man. I don't think I can do it without her anymore. So she started writing with us and everything like that. And then me and Amitha actually that summer like produced
that was so fun.
a show over at Coalition Theater on Broad Street, at like an 8 skit show. And now we're still doing stuff. We're still writing skits. We just started filming skits for a YouTube channel with this group of boys. What's
Your Little Angels.
Your Little Angels?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's headed by say their name.
Woody Chapman, Brendan, and Matt McDonough.
Matt, yeah.
Brendan,
she knows them better than I do. That's
why I forgot his last name. I've known these people for a very long time.
We'll tag them in the comments.
Brendan and Woody were on my freshman year improv team.
Yeah. Well, they were helping us like film some sketch comedy and stuff like that for
writing
YouTube.
with them.
Yeah, I'm writing with them.
It's fun.
It's been cool.
Yeah.
I forgot the question. I just kind of went on a
yeah, I was just talking about your other sketch group, so you answered it well. So you guys are just starting to do some stuff with the online sketch other than writing? You haven't done anything like in Zoom or anything like that?
We haven't done any sketch shows.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like we, especially me and Chelsea, really feed off of like live in-person energy. I feel like, so like, I know like when we were planning the gag show, we were just like running on adrenaline almost, just like trying to plan it for those sketches. And we haven't really, and also because we've just been trying to graduate during the pandemic. So I just think it's just been really, time heavy. But this summer, we gonna figure something out. Video sketches are also really, I really like the writing process of sketch, like the editing and the revising and the like ideating, because like I remember in BCG, like we would have pitch sessions, or in Blue Collar Greens, we'd have pitch sessions, and then we'd like sit in the round table and like we'd all have our pitches and like one person would say theirs, and then everyone would kind of riff off of it until it became a better pitch idea. And then that was the thing that that was the seed that grew into the sketch.
It's basically like getting to talk out, like you have a good idea in improv, but now you get to say it to everybody, talk it out, and make it the best idea.
Yeah, it's all just like these people you find hilarious. You really like.
Do you all use improv to help write the sketches?
Definitely.
I think that like probably 50 to 75% of that Gag Reflex summer show that we put up was me and Amitha like just having a conversation, being like, yeah, this is a good one, this is a good one, this is a good one.
One of them was literally born of like me and Chelsea. It was like a bit, we were like talking right before we went to bed, and Chelsea was like, we'd had like a conversation, and then there was like Chelsea turned on her side to go to sleep, and then she turned back and she was like, we should write that down, that's a sketch.
we should write that down. It was that happens all the time. We also started a TikTok. We got a TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fantastic. I am too old for the TikTok. That's what I'm going to call it, the TikTok. That's how old I am. No, there's a lot of people my age on TikTok. I just, it is not I that is on TikTok. I have a hard enough time watching myself improvise on Zoom. TikTok is way more than I can handle. So, so why did you all want to come work for Queen City Comedy? Tell the audience. You're like, because someone made me. No, I don't know. Why did you want to come work for Queen City Comedy?
I think you can go first.
I was in a lifelong debt with Elizabeth Byland. She said if I sold time,
I've sold my soul to the master.
No, it was just like, honestly, like it was like a dream internship. EB was like, is this something you'd be interested in? I guess she asked us like ironically, because like she knew the answer.
She's like, want to do this?
She's like, do you guys want to do this thing that you've been like wanting to do for 4 years? And I just wanted to work for Queen City because you guys just have like amazing guests, and I just love the community. Like we hear EB talk about it all the time, and then we got to witness it when we came down for like the early festival, and like we got to see it when like meeting you and Jen and everyone, and just like seeing like Mandy perform with her group, and just like all of you guys knowing each other and leading workshops. I think having like a really strong, non-competitive, like wholesome I don't really like using that word, but some
Jen's on our team. You have to take wholesome off the table. That's what I would say.
was like just something that I really wanted to invest my time and effort in. And also I just feel like being able to attend the workshops for free is kind of invaluable. And I also am a fan of so many comedians. So the chance to sit in on those workshops, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't watch the Q&A with Colin Mockery, like I did. And did I want to be in it? Yes.
There were two of them. So if you haven't watched them both, there were two. She's like, I only watched one. I didn't know there were two. Yeah. We did one with him early on in the pandemic, maybe like May last year, which was pretty much everyone just in our Charlotte community. And then we did one recently, which was much more of an international community. And people were up at like 3 a.m. And they would like turn their camera on. You could see their faces and they're just like shaking with excitement. And Colin was like, oh, this is like so lovely. So he's just been an absolutely lovely person. You know, they say never meet your idols, right? That they'll disappoint you. Not the case, I would say. I have only had one person that I was like, not what I thought it would be. But so far in the improv world, I have been very impressed with the people that I've met. It's a great community. So it's been really nice. So my idols are still standing. I don't know about you all. So
Yeah.
awesome. Cool. Tell us why you wanted to work with us, Chelsea.
Pretty similar, pretty close to it. But it's definitely like the community based comedy with Queen City is like ungodly appealing, you know. And then like I think naturally the next step, especially is like when you're like a performance major in college, like you go take these internships or you like go move to a big city and you like blah 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 blah. But yeah, so as somebody that wanted to do comedy in like the theater world, there wasn't really like a lot of opportunities when you're in like a theater program because it's not like comedy based, it's not sketch comedy based, it's not improv based or anything. So getting to meet EB and then opening to like the world of Queen City and everything is like kind of like the first taste of anything. It's kind of like getting to work with like your neighborhood idols in a way, I guess. Like not stars, but like people that were like the people that, yeah, like this is what I was introduced to first. So it's like, oh, this is surreal, you know.
Also logistically it helps a lot, like learning how you guys run things, because I know me and Chelsea like
100%.
kind of a pipe dream. We were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to open a theater? Like it's
or like
really,
a comedy club.
Yeah.
Like
so it's like, but we don't have like logistical experience with that, so it's also just like good for that.
The learning curve for sure, like shadowing it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Amitha, you've graduated from school, and Chelsea, you're almost graduated from school. What's the plans when you grow up? Isn't that a good question? No, you're like, oh God, no. Wait, what's the dream? What's the dream? Let's go with that. What's the dream? You said open a theater. Where's this theater gonna be? Tell us more.
The dream is.
And now we pitch it.
Right, it's live and recorded. Someone might pick it up. Who knows? This is your shot.
It's a pilot. The dream is I applied for MFA programs, and that's what I'm looking to hear back from now, or like grad programs, and we both hope to move to Chicago.
Yeah, been wanting to move to Chicago since I was about 11 years old. Yeah. So I know it's like the worst time in the world to want to move to like Chicago or New York when everything feels like it's falling apart, but like, you know, that feels like the next step naturally.
Yeah.
But it might be the best time in the long run, right? Because you might be able to be part of building it back up, right? So I'm sure what's happening in Chicago is, with all the system breakdown, these incredible indie teams and these incredible individuals are out there, creating workshops and classes and building it up in a different way than perhaps it was. So maybe it's the best time to go to Chicago. It's cold in Chicago. It's cold. That's what I'm going to tell y'all.
That's Nordic blood, Carla. Dude, I'm made out of ice, so
I will suffer. I might wither, but the scene is so cool that I'm hoping that it'll sustain me for like before I wither away.
I promised myself I give myself 5 years in Chicago. Give myself 5 years to try, unless I get there and I absolutely hate it. I'm like, ooh, it's the worst thing I've ever done. Then I'm gonna leave.
Well, good. Well, I'm gonna wrap us up, and I'm gonna make you guys do something silly. I'm gonna let Amitha, I'm gonna let you exit out, like exit intro Chelsea. So if you were going to be like introducing Chelsea live on stage, tell me everything you can about Chelsea. All right.
Got it. Okay. Introducing
She's cutting her out of this frame.
Chelsea Matkins, sketch comedy connoisseur, really good at making vegan food, really, really pretty, also very good at drinking with me. She's cool. What else? Vampire Diaries fan number 1. And also my best friend, Chelsea Matkins. I feel like that was really bad.
Hey, you
Oh,
know,
that was good. It was good. All right, Chelsea, it is your turn. Reciprocate.
Dude, it's okay, man. I know that you like me. Oh, look, it's just like boobs.
I was like, it's just cleavage.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Introducing Amitha Rao, the name dropping queen. She knows way all the big words. She'll kill you in bananagrams, and she will make you about it. She'll make you the best china masala, and she'll hold you too tight at night. The queen of comedy herself.
Oh my God.
Amitha Rao.
Awesome. I'm gonna edit these down and just release these clips as your bios. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no, we should. It would be fun. Well, I just wanted to thank you, ladies, for sitting here and chatting with me. And now the folks out at Queen City Comedy and abroad can know who you are. You'll see them in our Zoom rooms, and they'll be helping us out. And you might get emails from the comedy facilitators. That's what we're calling them, the comedy facilitators, Amitha and Chelsea. But we're gonna awkwardly wave goodbye, and thanks to those of you all who are watching. I did put the links in the chat to some of their groups if you want to follow them. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
It's always this weird, awkward waving. I just try to make it more awkward. So
I like how we go on for.
awesome.